I stood in the hallway of my own home, my hand trembling on the doorknob, listening to sounds that would change my life forever. Water splashing. Soft laughter. A woman's voice that wasn't mine, saying my husband's name in a way that made my stomach turn. I had come home early from my marketing job at Peterson Industries because I'd forgotten an important client file. The house should have been empty. Gerald said he'd be at the office all day. But his car was in the driveway, parked next to Amanda's silver sedan. Amanda, our neighbor from 3 doors down. Amanda, who I'd invited to our barbecues. Amanda, whose garden I'd complimented just last weekend. My heart pounded as I turned the knob slowly, pushing the door open just an inch. The master bathroom. Steam rolled out from the crack and through it I could see them. My husband of 8 years, Gerald Montgomery, sitting in our oversized bathtub. And Amanda Harris, her blonde hair wet and slicked back, sitting between his legs. They were laughing about something, completely unaware that their world was about to collapse. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Something cold and sharp settled in my chest, pushing out all the heat of anger and replacing it with crystal-clear calculation. I pulled the door closed softly, hearing the latch click. Then I reached up and turned the old-fashioned key lock that Gerald had insisted we keep when we renovated. He loved the antique brass fixtures. He said they gave the house character. That lock would serve a different purpose now. The key made a solid clicking sound as it turned. I pulled it out and held it in my hand, feeling its weight. Then I walked down the hallway to the guest bedroom and pulled out my phone. My fingers were steady as I scrolled through my contacts. Brett Harris. Amanda's husband. He answered on the second ring. Hey Simone, what's up? Brett, you need to come to my house right now. Don't call Amanda. Just come. There's something you need to see. What? Is everything okay? No. Nothing is okay. But you need to see this with your own eyes. I'm serious, Brett. Come now. I heard him hesitate, then his voice changed, becoming tense. I'm on my way. 5 minutes. I ended the call and stood there counting my breaths. 1, 2, 3. My mind was surprisingly clear. I walked to the kitchen, still wearing my red blazer and black pencil skirt from work. I poured myself a glass of water and drank it slowly. Through the kitchen window, I could see Brett's truck pull into my driveway. He got out, his tall frame unfolding from the driver's seat, confusion written across his face. I met him at the front door before he could knock. Brett was a construction foreman, built solid from years of physical work. He had kind brown eyes that were now filled with concern. Simone, what's going on? You sounded. Follow me. Don't say anything. Just look. I led him through my house, past the living room with its cream-colored furniture, past the family photos on the walls showing Gerald and me smiling at the beach at Christmas at our wedding. All lies now. All meaningless. We stopped in front of the master bedroom door. I could still hear the water, the voices, though they were quieter now. Brett looked at me, his confusion deepening. I pointed to the bathroom door, then held up the key. They're in there, I said quietly. Your wife and my husband. His face changed. Color drained from his cheeks, then rushed back in angry red. What are you? Look for yourself. I turned the key slowly. The lock clicked. The voices inside stopped abruptly. I pushed the door open and stepped aside, letting Brett see first. He moved forward and I heard his sharp intake of breath. Then I looked too, needing to see their faces when they realized they'd been caught. Gerald's expression went from relaxed to shocked to terrified in seconds. Amanda screamed, trying to cover herself with her hands. Water sloshed over the sides of the tub as they scrambled apart, as if distance could undo what we'd just witnessed. Simone. Gerald started. Don't. My voice was cold and flat. Don't say my name. Brett just stood there, staring at his wife. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and dangerous. How long? Amanda's face crumpled. Brett, please, I can explain. How long? He repeated louder now. Gerald tried to stand up in the tub, realized he was naked and sat back down. It's not what it looks like. I almost laughed. Actually, I think I did laugh, a short, bitter sound. It's exactly what it looks like. You're in my bathtub with our neighbor. You're both naked. There's literally nothing else this could be. Get out, Brett said to Amanda. Get out and get dressed. Now. Amanda scrambled out of the tub, grabbing a towel. She couldn't look at me as she rushed past, dripping water across my bathroom floor. Brett followed her, and I heard them in the bedroom, Brett's voice rising, Amanda crying. That left Gerald and me. He sat in the cooling bath water, looking up at me with desperate eyes. Baby, please let me explain. Explain what, Gerald? Explain how you got our neighbor into our bed? Into our bathroom? How many times has this happened? How many times have I been at work, thinking you were at the office, while you were here with her? It wasn't like that. It just happened. We didn't plan. It just happened? You just fell into the bathtub together? Your clothes just fell off. He winced. That's not what I meant. Get out of my bathtub. I turned away from him. You have 1 hour to pack a bag and leave. If you're still here after that, I'm calling the police and reporting a trespasser. This is my house too. No, Gerald. This was our house. Now it's my crime scene. 1 hour. I walked out, closing the door behind me. In the bedroom, Brett had Amanda by the arm, pulling her toward the door. She was dressed now, her clothes thrown on hastily, her wet hair leaving damp spots on her blue shirt. Tears streamed down her face. Simone, please, I'm so sorry. She began. I held up my hand. Save it. Just get out of my house and stay away from me. Both of you away from me. Brett dragged Amanda out. I heard the front door slam. Alone in my bedroom, I finally let myself feel something. But it wasn't sadness. It wasn't even anger. It was determination. Gerald had broken our marriage, shattered our vows, disrespected our home. He would pay for that. Not with my tears. Not with my begging. He would pay by losing everything he took for granted. I heard him come out of the bathroom, heard him moving around in the walk-in closet. I didn't look at him. I took out my phone and started taking pictures. The wet footprints on the floor. The 2 wine glasses on the bathroom counter that I hadn't noticed before. The rumpled towels. Evidence. I would need evidence for what came next. Where am I supposed to go? Gerald asked from behind me. I don't care. Hotel. Your brother's place. Hell, for all I care. Just not here. Simone, we need to talk about this. No, Gerald. We don't. The time for talking was before you betrayed me. Now the time for talking is with lawyers. He stood there for a moment longer, and I could feel him trying to find words that would fix this. There were none. Finally, I heard him zip up a bag and walk toward the door. I love you, he said quietly. I turned then, looked him straight in the eyes. If this is what you call love, I want nothing to do with it. Get out. He left. I heard his footsteps down the stairs, heard the front door close. Heard his car start and pull away. Only then did I sit down on the edge of my bed. Only then did I let the first tear fall. But it was just one. I wiped it away and stood up. Crying wouldn't change anything. Action would. I called my best friend, Nicole. She answered immediately, her cheerful voice filling my ear. Girl, what's going on? Aren't you supposed to be at work? I need you to come over. No. And bring a bottle of something strong. Her tone changed instantly. I'm on my way. While I waited for Nicole, I opened my laptop and started searching. Divorce attorneys. The best ones in the city. I made a list, checked their ratings, read their reviews. By the time Nicole arrived 20 minutes later, I had appointments scheduled with 3 different lawyers for the next day. Nicole took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. What happened? I told her everything. As I spoke, her expression went from concerned to furious. When I finished, she poured us both a generous glass of wine. That piece of trash, she said. And Amanda, that snake. After everything you did for her. I don't want to think about them right now, I said. I want to plan. I want to make sure Gerald regrets the day he ever thought he could do this to me. Nicole raised her glass. Then let's plan. Let's make him regret everything. We spent the rest of the afternoon going through my options. Nicole, who worked as a paralegal, knew enough about divorce law to give me a head start. We documented everything. Times, dates, suspicious behavior I'd overlooked. Credit card statements showing charges I didn't recognize. Flowers I'd never received but that he'd clearly bought for someone. The evidence piled up. As the sun set outside my window, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I felt something shift inside me. The girl who'd walked into this house at lunch, expecting a normal day, was gone. In her place was someone harder. Someone who wouldn't be played for a fool ever again. Gerald called 6 times that evening. I didn't answer. He texted, begging to talk. I blocked his number. This wasn't about communication anymore. This was about survival. My survival. And I intended to come out of this stronger than ever. The morning after I discovered Gerald's betrayal, I woke up at 5 in the morning, my body refusing to stay asleep. The bed felt enormous and empty. I'd slept on the couch in the living room, unable to bear the thought of lying where Gerald had slept just nights before. The house was too quiet. Usually, I'd hear him making coffee, getting ready for work. Now there was just silence and the memory of yesterday crushing down on me. I got up and showered, standing under water as hot as I could tolerate, trying to wash away the images burned into my mind. Gerald and Amanda in that tub. Their faces when they realized they'd been caught. The way he tried to explain as if words could cover the enormity of what he'd done. By 6, I was dressed in a green dress that made me feel powerful, professional. I'd need that power today. My first lawyer consultation was at 8. I made myself breakfast, forcing down toast and coffee even though my stomach churned. I had to keep my strength up. This was a marathon, not a sprint. Nicole texted me at 7. How are you holding up? Surviving, I typed back. Meeting with Attorney Campbell at 8. You've got this. Call me after. The law offices of Campbell and Associates occupied the 15th floor of a glass tower downtown. I'd chosen Harold Campbell specifically. He had a reputation for being thorough, aggressive, and winning. The receptionist led me into a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. 3 minutes later, Attorney Campbell walked in. He was 60 with silver hair and sharp blue eyes that missed nothing. Mrs. Montgomery, thank you for coming in. Please sit down and tell me everything. I did. I told him about coming home, about finding them, about locking the door and calling Brett. I showed him the photos I'd taken. The wine glasses. The wet footprints. Everything. He listened without interrupting, making notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he sat back and looked at me appraisingly. You handled this well. Better than most people do in the heat of the moment. These photos will be valuable. Do you have access to financial records? Yes. We have a joint account. I checked last night. There are charges I don't recognize. Restaurants I've never been to. A jewelry store charge from 3 months ago. I never got any jewelry. Get copies of all of that. Every statement you can find. Do you know how long the affair has been going on? I don't. But I intend to find out. Attorney Campbell nodded. Good. Pennsylvania is technically a no-fault divorce state, but evidence of infidelity can certainly impact things like alimony and asset division, particularly if marital assets were used to support the affair. Your husband's income is substantial, correct? Yes. He's a financial consultant. Last year he made close to $400,000. And you? I'm a marketing director. I make $90,000. How long have you been married? 8 years. No children. That simplifies some things. He made more notes. I'm going to be honest with you, Mrs. Montgomery. This will get ugly. Your husband will likely try to downplay the affair, claim it was brief, argue he deserves more of the assets. He'll have a lawyer who'll make you out to be cold, unforgiving, unreasonable. Can you handle that? I met his eyes steadily. I can handle anything at this point. He betrayed me in our home. I'm not the one who should feel guilty. Good. That's the right attitude. I'll take your case. My retainer is $10,000. I'd expected as much. I wrote the check without hesitation. This was an investment in my future. A future without Gerald. After leaving the lawyer's office, I went straight to the bank. I withdrew half of our joint savings and opened a new account in my name only. It was legally my right. Then I went to work. I couldn't just hide at home. I had responsibilities and I refused to let Gerald's actions destroy my career too. My coworkers could tell something was wrong. I'd been working at Peterson Industries for 6 years, and I'd never been the type to hide my emotions well. Nicole had texted ahead to my supervisor, explaining I was dealing with a family emergency. Everyone gave me space, which I appreciated. At lunch I got a call from an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Simone? It's Brett. Amanda's husband. I sat up straighter. Brett. How are you holding up? About as well as you'd expect. His voice was rough, tired. Look, I wanted to let you know I kicked Amanda out last night. She's staying with her sister. I also hired a lawyer this morning. We're getting divorced. I'm doing the same, I said. Seeing my lawyer this afternoon for the retainer. Good. They don't deserve our forgiveness. He paused. I wanted to thank you. For calling me. For making me see the truth. If you hadn't, I would have just kept going, not knowing. You would have found out eventually. They weren't being careful. Maybe. But you didn't have to do what you did. You could have just kicked Gerald out and left me in the dark. That wouldn't have been right. You deserve to know what your wife was doing. We talked for a few more minutes. Brett told me he'd found texts on Amanda's phone after he got her home. The affair had been going on for 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of them sneaking around while Brett and I worked, trusting our spouses. The betrayal went deeper than I'd imagined. After hanging up with Brett, I felt a strange kinship with him. We were both victims of the same selfish behavior. both fighting to rebuild our lives from the rubble our spouses had left behind. Gerald tried to call me 14 times that day. Each call went to voicemail. Each voicemail was the same. Please, Simone, we need to talk. I made a mistake. I love you. Please call me back. By the 10th message, I deleted them without listening. That evening, I changed all the locks on the house. The locksmith arrived at 6, and by 7:30 Gerald's keys would no longer work. I also called a security company and scheduled installation of a camera system for the next day. If Gerald tried to break in, I'd have evidence. At 8 there was pounding on my front door. I looked through the new peephole and saw Gerald standing there, his face haggard, his clothes wrinkled. He'd been wearing the same shirt since yesterday. Simone, please open the door. We need to talk. I spoke through the door. We have nothing to talk about. My lawyer will be in contact with yours. You hired a lawyer? Are you serious about this? You were serious enough to sleep with our neighbor in our home. Yes, Gerald, I'm serious about this. It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. But we can work through this. No, we can't. Go away or I'm calling the police. He pounded on the door again. This is my house too. Not anymore. I changed the locks. You don't live here. Leave or I call the police and report you for trespassing. There was silence. Then I heard his footsteps retreating. Through the window, I watched him get in his car and sit there for 10 minutes, his head in his hands. I felt nothing. No pity, no sadness. He'd made his choice. Now he had to live with the consequences. The next few days were a blur of paperwork and planning. Attorney Campbell moved quickly. Within a week, Gerald was served with divorce papers. I learned through the legal grapevine that he'd hired Thomas Brennan, a lawyer known for being combative. Good. Let Gerald waste his money on a fight he couldn't win. My mother called after Gerald apparently contacted her, begging her to convince me to reconsider. Simone, honey, are you sure about this? Marriage is hard. People make mistakes. Mama, he was in bed with another woman. In our home. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. But 8 years of marriage. 8 years he threw away. Not me. Him. I won't be blamed for this. She sighed. I just don't want you to regret this later. I regret marrying someone who could do this to me. I don't regret leaving him. Gerald's mother was worse. She showed up at my workplace, causing a scene in the lobby, demanding I speak with her. Security had to escort her out. She called me selfish, cruel, unforgiving. The irony wasn't lost on me. Her son had broken our vows, but somehow I was the villain for refusing to accept it. Through all of this, Nicole was my rock. She came over every evening, brought dinner, sat with me while I cried on the nights when the pain broke through my determination. She never once suggested I forgive Gerald. She just held my hand and let me process. You're going to get through this, she said one night 2 weeks after the discovery. You're one of the strongest people I know. I don't feel strong. I feel broken. Broken things can be fixed, and sometimes they come back stronger than before. I wanted to believe her. Some days I did. Other days I just felt hollow. At work, my boss called me into her office. Patricia Henderson was 55, divorced herself, and had always been supportive. She gestured for me to sit. Simone, I heard about what you're going through. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm managing. I can see that. You're still producing excellent work despite everything. That takes real strength. She leaned forward. I want you to know that your job is secure. Take whatever time you need. And when you're ready, there's a senior director position opening up in 3 months. I'd like you to apply for it. A promotion. In the middle of my personal disaster, my career was actually looking up. Thank you, Patricia. That means more than you know. You've earned it. Don't let that man take anything more from you than he already has. Her words stayed with me. Gerald had taken my trust, my marriage, my sense of security, but he wouldn't take my future. I wouldn't let him. That night, I went through our photo albums and removed every picture of Gerald. I boxed them up along with his remaining belongings that I'd collected from around the house. His toothbrush, his favorite coffee mug, the books on his nightstand. All of it went into boxes that I stacked in the garage. Eventually, I'd have his lawyer arrange pickup. For now, I just needed them out of my sight. As I worked, I found a card Gerald had given me on our 5th anniversary. To my beautiful wife. Thank you for 5 amazing years. Here's to 50 more. Love always, Gerald. I stared at it for a long time. Had he meant it then? Or had I never really known him at all? I threw the card in the trash and kept packing. The past was gone. I had to focus on building something new. Something better. Something that was just mine. 3 weeks after discovering Gerald's affair, I sat in Attorney Campbell's office reviewing the financial documents his team had subpoenaed. What I saw made my stomach turn. The affair hadn't lasted 6 months like Brett and I had initially believed. Based on credit card statements, hotel charges, and restaurant bills, it had been going on for over a year. Look here, Attorney Campbell pointed to a charge from 14 months ago. Dinner at Chez Laurent. Their prix-fixe menu is $200 per person. Do you remember being there? I shook my head. I've never been there. Gerald told me he was at a business dinner that night. And here, Cartier. A bracelet purchased for $6,000. Did you receive a bracelet? No. Flowers from Bella Blooms. These charges appear every 2 weeks for the past 8 months. $300 each time. I felt sick. I never got flowers. Not once. Attorney Campbell's expression was grim. He was spending marital assets on his mistress. Substantial amounts. We're looking at close to $40,000 over the course of the affair. $40,000. Money that should have gone toward our future, our savings, maybe eventually a family. Instead, Gerald had spent it whining and dining Amanda while I worked late, believing we were building something together. There's more, the attorney continued. We found records of an apartment lease downtown. Studio apartment, $1,500 a month in Gerald's name only. The lease started 11 months ago. An apartment. Gerald had rented an entire apartment for his affair. The scope of his deception was staggering. Can we use all of this? I asked. Absolutely. While Pennsylvania is a no-fault state, dissipation of marital assets is relevant to equitable distribution. He used community property to fund an extramarital affair. The court won't look favorably on that. Over the next week, more evidence emerged. Attorney Campbell's investigators interviewed people who'd seen Gerald and Amanda together. Restaurant staff who remembered them as regulars. The apartment building's doorman who confirmed they came and went together frequently. Each piece of evidence was another nail in the coffin of our marriage. Brett called me one evening. Did you know they had an apartment? I just found out. Did Amanda tell you? No. My lawyer found the same evidence yours did. Gerald was paying for everything. The apartment, the dinners, gifts. Amanda just went along for the ride. There was bitterness in his voice. I understood it. Our spouses had made us look like fools. Not just for weeks or months but for over a year. A year of lies. How are you doing? I asked him. Some days better than others. I threw out everything Amanda left behind. Clothes, photos, everything. I couldn't look at it anymore. I did the same with Gerald's things. We talked for a while longer. Brett had always been a good neighbor, friendly but not intrusive. Now we had this terrible thing in common, this shared betrayal that created an odd bond between us. The worst part came when I started telling close friends about the divorce. Their reactions revealed that many had suspected something was wrong long before I did. My friend Jennifer from book club admitted over coffee, I saw Gerald with Amanda at that wine bar downtown about 6 months ago. They were holding hands. I didn't know how to tell you. Why didn't you? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. Because I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. I thought maybe I was wrong, maybe it was innocent. And I didn't want to hurt you if it was nothing. I wanted to be angry at her, but I couldn't. What would I have done in her position? Would I have wanted to be the bearer of such terrible news? Another friend, Diane, had a similar story. I saw them coming out of a hotel together last fall. They didn't see me. I convinced myself there was a reasonable explanation. That maybe they were planning a surprise party or something. Each confession felt like another small betrayal. Not because they'd kept silent, but because it meant more people had known Gerald was making a fool of me than I'd realized. The only person who'd tried to warn me, it turned out, was Gerald's own brother Thomas. He called me one evening, something he'd never done before. Simone, I need to talk to you about Gerald. If you're calling to defend him, save your breath. I'm not. I'm calling to apologize. I knew about the affair 3 months ago. I confronted Gerald, told him to end it or I'd tell you myself. He swore he'd break it off. Obviously he didn't. I gripped the phone tighter. Why didn't you tell me anyway? Because he's my brother. Because I thought I could make him do the right thing. I was wrong and I'm sorry. You deserve to know. At least Thomas had tried. That was more than most people had done. Thank you for telling me now. For what it's worth, my wife and I are on your side in this. Gerald destroyed his marriage. That's on him, not you. After hanging up, I felt oddly lighter. I'd been carrying guilt, wondering if I'd missed signs, if I'd been a bad wife, if I'd driven Gerald to this. But the truth was simpler and more painful. Gerald had made a choice. He'd chosen Amanda over our marriage. He'd chosen lies over honesty. And he'd done it consciously repeatedly for over a year. At my next meeting with Attorney Campbell, we strategized for the upcoming settlement negotiations. Gerald's lawyer had sent over a proposal that was insulting. He wanted to keep the house, split the savings 50-50, and pay minimal alimony for only 3 years. "He's trying to lowball you," Attorney Campbell said. "He thinks you'll settle to avoid a trial. We're going to push back hard." Our counteroffer was aggressive. I wanted the house, 60% of the savings to account for the money Gerald had wasted on his affair, and alimony for 7 years. We also demanded he pay all legal fees and half his retirement account. Gerald's response came through his lawyer. He was furious. He called me directly, somehow getting my new number. 60%? Are you trying to destroy me? No, Gerald. You destroyed yourself. I'm just making sure I'm not left with nothing after you threw away our marriage. I made a mistake. I'm paying for it. But this is excessive. You spent $40,000 of our money on your mistress. You rented an apartment to hide your affair. You lied to me for over a year. And you think asking for 60% is excessive? That money wasn't just yours. I earned it. We earned it. We were married. Everything was supposed to be ours. But you decided to spend it on someone else. So yes, I think I'm entitled to more than half of what's left. You tried a different tack. What about our memories? Everything we built together? You should have thought about that before you got in a bathtub with Amanda. I can't believe you're being this vindictive. Vindictive would be telling everyone we know exactly what you did. Vindictive would be posting the photos I took all over social media. I'm being reasonable. I'm asking for what I'm legally entitled to. He hung up on me. Good. I was done listening to him try to rewrite history. Nicole came over that night with Chinese takeout. We sat on my living room floor eating straight from the containers. "How are you holding up?" she asked. "Better than I expected. Angry but clear-headed." That's good. Anger can be useful if you channel it right. I'm channeling it into making sure Gerald regrets what he did. Nicole raised her soda can. To revenge served cold. I clinked my can against hers. And legal. As we ate, I realized something. I wasn't crying anymore. I hadn't cried in over a week. The initial shock and pain were giving way to something else. Determination. Strength. A sense of my own worth that didn't depend on Gerald's validation. "You know what?" I said. "I think I'm going to be okay." "I never doubted it," Nicole replied. "You're too tough to let this break you." She was right. Gerald had broken our marriage, but he hadn't broken me. And as I moved forward with the divorce, gathering evidence, building my case, preparing for court if necessary, I felt myself getting stronger. This wasn't the end of my story. It was just the end of a chapter one should have closed a long time ago. My mother showed up at my door on a Saturday morning, holding a casserole dish and wearing her most determined expression. I knew immediately this wasn't a social visit. "We need to talk," she said, walking past me into the kitchen. I closed the door and followed her. "Good morning to you too, Mama." She set the casserole on the counter and turned to face me. "Simone, I've been patient. I've given you time. But this divorce has gone on long enough. It's time to think about reconciliation." "There's nothing to think about. Gerald cheated on me. Men make mistakes, baby. They do foolish things. But you can't just throw away 8 years of marriage over one mistake." It wasn't one mistake. It was a year-long affair. Multiple lies. Thousands of dollars spent on another woman. My mother waved her hand dismissively. "Money can be replaced. But a good husband is hard to find. Gerald has a steady job, he comes from a good family, he provides well. Those things matter." I stared at her, feeling my temper rise. What about respect? What about trust? What about him honoring his vows? Do those things not matter? Of course they matter. But marriage is about forgiveness. About working through hard times. Your father and I had rough patches. Did Daddy cheat on you? No, but then it's not the same thing. You and Daddy worked through disagreements, arguments, maybe times when money was tight. Gerald betrayed our marriage vows in the most fundamental way possible. That's not something you just forgive and move on from. My mother's face softened. "Simone, honey, I'm trying to protect you. Once you're divorced, you'll be alone. You're 32 years old. Finding another man won't be easy." Her words hit like a slap. So I should stay with someone who disrespected me, who lied to me, who broke my heart because I might not find someone else? Do you hear how that sounds? I'm being practical. I'm your mother. I don't want to see you struggle. I'd rather struggle alone than be comfortable with someone who makes me feel worthless. Gerald didn't mean to make you feel worthless. Then what did he mean to do when he chose Amanda over me? When he rented an apartment to meet her? When he spent our money buying her gifts? What message was he sending other than that I wasn't enough? My mother sighed, sitting down at my kitchen table. I just worry about you. Divorce is hard. People will talk. Let them talk. I'm not living my life based on what other people think. Gerald's mother called me. She's very upset. I'm sure she is. Her son destroyed his marriage. She says you're being unreasonable. That you won't even talk to Gerald. Of course I won't talk to him. What's there to say? We communicate through our lawyers now. That's how this works. My mother looked tired suddenly. I had hopes for you too. Grandchildren. Family dinners. Now all of that is gone. The mention of grandchildren stung. Gerald and I had been planning to start trying for a baby next year. That dream was gone now, ashes like everything else we'd planned. I wanted those things too, Mama. But Gerald took them away when he made his choices. I can't bring back something he destroyed. We sat in silence for a moment. Then my mother reached across the table and took my hand. I love you. I want you to be happy. If you truly believe divorce is the only way forward, then I'll support you. But I had to try one more time to see if there was another path. There isn't. Not for me. I deserve better than what Gerald gave me. Yes, she said quietly. You do. I just wish he'd been the man we thought he was. After my mother left, I felt drained. She wasn't the only one pressuring me to reconsider. Gerald's sister had sent me a long email about family loyalty. 2 of our couple friends had stopped calling, apparently choosing Gerald's side. Even my own aunt had suggested I was being too harsh and should consider counseling. But I had my supporters too. Nicole, unwavering in her friendship. My friend Diane, who'd admitted she'd seen Gerald with Amanda and regretted not speaking up. And surprisingly, Brett, who understood exactly what I was going through. Brett and I had started meeting for coffee once a week. It wasn't romantic, just 2 people navigating the same painful situation. His divorce from Amanda was proceeding similarly to mine from Gerald. Both of our spouses were trying to paint themselves as victims, claiming their betrayed partners were being unreasonable. Amanda's lawyer sent papers saying I'm being vindictive, Brett told me over coffee one Wednesday. Vindictive because I won't give her spousal support after what she did. Gerald's lawyer called me unreasonable for wanting the house. The house we bought together. The house where I found him cheating. They're trying to make us feel guilty for standing up for ourselves. It won't work. Not with me. Brett smiled slightly. You're tougher than I thought. I remember you as the nice lady who brought cookies to the neighborhood block party. I was nice. I believed the best in people. Now I know better. Is that a bad thing? I considered it. No. It's realistic. I won't be taken advantage of again. Beyond the pressure to reconcile, I was also facing pressure at work, though of a different kind. The senior director position Patricia had mentioned was now officially open, and several people were applying. I submitted my application, but I worried that my personal situation might count against me. Those worries proved unfounded. Patricia called me into her office 2 weeks later with good news. You got it. The senior director position is yours, pending board approval next month. But that's just a formality. Really? I felt a surge of genuine joy the first in weeks. Thank you, Patricia. You earned it. Your work on the Randolph campaign was exceptional. The client specifically requested you for their next project. That kind of reputation doesn't go unnoticed. The promotion came with a substantial raise, a larger office, and more responsibility. It also came with validation that my worth wasn't tied to my marriage or Gerald's opinion of me. I was valuable on my own. I celebrated with Nicole that night. We went to our favorite restaurant, and for the first time since discovering the affair, I felt genuinely happy. You're glowing, Nicole observed. This is good for you. It feels good. Like I'm finally moving forward instead of just surviving. That's because you are moving forward. You're not letting what Gerald did define you. As I sipped my wine, I thought about the past month. The pain was still there, sharp and real. But it wasn't consuming me anymore. I was building something new. A career that was thriving. Friendships that had deepened. A sense of self that didn't rely on someone else's validation. Still, there were hard moments. Late at night, when the house was quiet, I sometimes felt the loneliness creep in. I'd reach for my phone, see Gerald's blocked number, and have to resist the urge to unblock it and call. Not because I wanted him back, but because 8 years of marriage didn't just disappear overnight. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Robinson, a kind woman in her 50s who specialized in divorce recovery. She helped me process the anger and grief without judgment. It's normal to have conflicting feelings, she told me during one session. You can hate what Gerald did and still grieve the loss of the relationship. Those feelings can coexist. I don't want to grieve. I want to be angry. Anger is easier. Anger is a shield. But underneath it there's hurt. And that hurt needs to be acknowledged before you can fully heal. I didn't like that answer, but I knew she was right. So I let myself feel it. The hurt, the betrayal, the loss. I cried in her office, something I hadn't done in weeks. And afterward I felt lighter. The divorce proceedings continued. Gerald's lawyer was trying every tactic to reduce my settlement, but Attorney Campbell was relentless. Every attempt to minimize the affair or its impact was met with documented evidence. Every claim that I was being unfair was countered with facts about Gerald's behavior. 2 months after the discovery, we finally had a settlement conference. Gerald, his lawyer, Attorney Campbell, and I sat in a conference room at the courthouse. It was the first time I'd seen Gerald in person since that day. He looked terrible. Thinner, older, with dark circles under his eyes. He tried to catch my eye, but I kept my gaze on my lawyer or on the mediator. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of my attention. The mediator laid out the issues. Asset division, alimony, debt responsibility. For 3 hours we negotiated. Gerald's lawyer pushed back on everything. I remained calm, letting Attorney Campbell handle the talking. Finally, the mediator suggested a break. Gerald followed me into the hallway. Simone, please, can we just talk? Alone. No. We communicate through our lawyers. I miss you. I miss us. What we had was real. I finally looked at him, then really looked at him. What we had was a lie, Gerald. You made sure of that. Now leave me alone. I walked away and I didn't look back. The settlement conference had failed to produce an agreement, which meant we were heading toward trial. Attorney Campbell had warned me this might happen. Gerald wasn't willing to accept the terms I'd proposed, and I wasn't willing to accept his lowball offers. We were at an impasse. Trials are expensive, Attorney Campbell reminded me in his office. Emotionally and financially. Are you sure you want to go this route? I'm sure. Gerald needs to understand he can't cheat and lie and then walk away with half of everything like nothing happened. All right then. Let's prepare for battle. The next 2 months were exhausting. Attorney Campbell's team gathered more evidence, deposed witnesses, built the strongest case possible. They interviewed the doorman at Gerald's secret apartment. The jeweler who sold him Amanda's bracelet. Even some of Gerald's co-workers who'd covered for him during his afternoon meetings with Amanda. Brett provided a deposition as well. He spoke about the impact of the affair on his marriage, the financial strain Amanda's spending had caused, and how Gerald had involved him unknowingly by using work events as cover stories. Gerald told me several times he couldn't make our poker nights because he had to work late, Brett testified. Later, I found out those were nights he was with Amanda. My own deposition was grueling. Gerald's lawyer, Thomas Brennan, was every bit as aggressive as his reputation suggested. He tried to paint me as a cold, unforgiving wife who'd refused to give Gerald a second chance. Isn't it true, Mrs. Montgomery, that you locked your husband in the bathroom and called another man before even speaking to your husband? I called the other betrayed spouse, yes. And I locked the door to prevent them from leaving before he arrived. Doesn't that seem vindictive? No. It seems like ensuring the truth came out. Did you consider that perhaps your husband and Mrs. Harris were just talking? That nothing inappropriate was happening? I stared at him. They were naked in my bathtub. What part of that is just talking? Attorney Campbell smiled slightly but said nothing. He didn't need to. The question was ridiculous and everyone in the room knew it. Brennan tried another angle. Isn't it true you've refused all attempts at marriage counseling? Gerald never suggested marriage counseling. He suggested I forgive him. Those are different things. But if he had suggested counseling, would you have considered it? No. Why not? Because the marriage was over the moment he betrayed our vows. Counseling can't fix that. So you had no interest in saving your marriage? I had no interest in staying married to someone who disrespected me so completely. The questioning went on for hours. By the end, I was exhausted but composed. I told the truth calmly and clearly. That was all I could do. Gerald's deposition was a disaster for him. Attorney Campbell was merciless. Mr. Montgomery, how long were you involved with Amanda Harris? About 6 months. Really? Because we have credit card receipts going back 14 months. Gerald shifted uncomfortably. Well, we were friends before it became physical. Friends who had dinner at romantic restaurants? Friends who exchanged expensive gifts. We were close, yes. And when did this friendship become sexual? I don't remember exactly, Attorney Campbell pulled out a document. This is the lease for the apartment on 5th Street. It's dated 11 months ago. You don't rent an apartment for a friendship, do you? Gerald's lawyer objected, but the damage was done. Gerald had been caught in a lie and it was on record. The trial date was set for early spring, 3 months away. In the meantime, life went on. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects to keep busy. The promotion to senior director was officially approved, and I moved into my new office with a view of the city skyline. Patricia took me to lunch to celebrate. You've impressed the board. They're already talking about you as a potential vice president in a few years. Really? That's incredible. You've earned it. You're producing excellent work even during a difficult personal time. That shows character. Character. I'd always thought I had character. But this situation had tested it in ways I'd never imagined. I discovered I was stronger than I'd known, more resilient, more capable of standing alone. Brett's divorce was proceeding faster than mine. Amanda had agreed to a settlement, probably because she knew she had no leverage. She'd been unemployed when the affair started and had brought nothing to the marriage financially. Brett gave her a small payout and kept the house. It's almost over, he told me at one of our coffee meetings. Another month and she'll be out of my life for good. How do you feel about that? Relieved. Sad. Angry. All of it at once. He looked at me. Does it get easier? I don't know yet. Ask me when my divorce is final. As the trial date approached, Gerald made one last attempt to avoid court. He showed up at my workplace, waiting in the lobby until I left for the day. Simone, please just hear me out. I tried to walk past him, but he stepped in front of me. I can't do this trial. It's going to destroy me financially. That's not my problem, Gerald. Please. I'm begging you. Let's settle. I'll agree to your terms. Just call off the trial. I stopped and looked at him. He seemed genuinely desperate. You'll agree to my terms? All of them? Yes. Whatever you want. I just can't go through a trial. My family, my job, everyone will know what I did. They should know what you did. You destroyed our marriage. I know I did. And I'm sorry. More sorry than I can say. But please, Simone. Have mercy. Mercy. He wanted mercy after showing me none. After lying for over a year. After spending our money on his mistress. After breaking every promise he'd ever made. I'll think about it, I said finally. But I'm not promising anything. I called Attorney Campbell that evening. Gerald wants to settle on our terms. Do you want to settle? Part of me wants to take him to court, make him face a jury, make everything public. But another part of me just wants this over. The settlement we proposed is fair, Simone. You'll get what you deserve. A trial might get you more or it might not. Juries are unpredictable. What do you recommend? I recommend you do what feels right for you. If you're tired of fighting, settle. If you need your day in court, we'll take him to trial. Either way, you win. I thought about it for 3 days. I talked to Nicole, to Dr. Robinson, to Brett. Everyone had opinions, but ultimately the decision was mine. Finally, I called Attorney Campbell. Accept the settlement. Let's be done with this. The final settlement was signed 2 weeks later. I got the house, 60% of our savings, Gerald's agreement to pay all legal fees, 7 years of alimony, and half his retirement account. In return, I agreed not to pursue further claims and to keep the details of the affair confidential outside of legal proceedings. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was enough. More importantly, it was over. The divorce would be final in 60 days. That night, I sat in my living room, the house finally, truly mine. No more Gerald. No more fighting. No more lawyers or depositions or angry phone calls. Just peace. Nicole came over with champagne. To freedom. To freedom, I echoed, clinking my glass against hers. As we drank, I felt something shift inside me. For months, I'd been in survival mode, fighting, defending, protecting what was mine. Now I could start thinking about what came next. Not just surviving, but actually living again. What are you going to do now? Nicole asked. Live. Really live. No more waiting for someone else to make me happy. I'm going to make myself happy. That's the spirit. I smiled, and for the first time in months, it felt completely genuine. Gerald had taken a lot from me, but he hadn't taken everything. I still had my home, my career, my friends, my future. And that was more than enough. 6 months after discovering Gerald's betrayal, I stood in my newly redecorated living room and barely recognized it. The cream furniture Gerald had insisted on was gone, replaced by a bold teal sofa and bright red accent chairs. The family photos had been taken down, and in their place were prints of artwork I'd chosen myself. The house felt different. It felt like mine. I joined a gym in January, partly to fill the empty evenings and partly because I needed to do something physical to work through my emotions. What started as a way to pass time became something I genuinely enjoyed. I hired a personal trainer, Melissa, who pushed me harder than I'd ever pushed myself. "You're stronger than you think," she'd say during particularly grueling sessions. She was right. By March, I'd lost 15 pounds, gained muscle definition, and felt more confident in my body than I had in years. Work continued to go well. The Randolph project I'd been leading won an industry award, and my name was on the trophy. Patricia nominated me for an executive leadership program, and I was accepted. My career was thriving in ways I'd never imagined when I was married to Gerald. One Thursday in late March, I was at a marketing conference downtown. I'd given a presentation on digital strategy that had been well received, and I was networking during the cocktail hour when I heard a familiar voice. "Simone? Simone Carter? Or, sorry, is it Montgomery now?" I turned to see Nathan Price, someone I'd worked with years ago at my previous company. He'd been a junior account manager then. Now, judging by his confident demeanor and expensive suit, he'd moved up in the world. "It's actually going back to Carter soon," I said. "The divorce will be final next month." "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." "Don't be. It was the right decision." We talked for a while, catching up on our careers. Nathan had moved to a competing firm and was now a senior vice president. He was funny, charming, and easy to talk to. When he suggested we grab dinner to continue catching up, I hesitated only briefly before agreeing. Dinner turned into coffee the following week. Coffee turned into a walk through the park the week after that. Nathan was careful not to push, never asking about my divorce unless I brought it up first. He talked about his own life, his work, his recent travels. Being with him was easy, comfortable. "I don't want to complicate things," he said one evening as we sat on a bench watching the sunset. "I know you're going through a lot. But I enjoy spending time with you." "I enjoy spending time with you too," I admitted. "But I'm not ready for anything serious. I need time." "That's fair. How about we just keep doing this? Spending time together, no pressure, no expectations?" It sounded perfect. And it was. Over the next few weeks, Nathan and I fell into an easy friendship. He made me laugh, something I hadn't done much of lately. He respected my boundaries. And slowly I found myself opening up to him about the divorce, about Gerald, about everything I'd been through. "He sounds like an idiot," Nathan said bluntly after I'd told him the whole story one evening. "He was my husband. He was an idiot who didn't appreciate what he had. Any man who would cheat on you has serious problems with judgment." It was nice to hear, even if I wasn't ready to fully believe it yet. Meanwhile, through mutual friends, I heard snippets about Gerald and Amanda's lives post-divorce. Gerald had moved into a small apartment and was apparently struggling financially between the settlement and his legal fees. Amanda and Gerald had tried to make a relationship work after their divorces were final, but it had fallen apart within weeks. Apparently, the excitement of an affair didn't translate to the reality of an actual relationship. I felt a grim satisfaction hearing that. They destroyed 2 marriages for something that couldn't even last a month out in the open. Brett called me one Saturday morning. "Want to grab lunch? I have news." We met at our usual cafe. Brett looked better than he had in months. The haunted look was gone from his eyes. "So what's the news?" I asked. "I'm selling the house. Too many bad memories. I found a place closer to my work. Fresh start." "That's great, Brett. Really great. What about you? How are you doing?" I told him about Nathan, about work, about my life generally. Brett listened with a smile. "You sound happy. Actually happy, not just pretending." "I think I am. Surprises me sometimes. I didn't think I'd feel this way so soon." "You earned it. After what Gerald put you through, you deserve to be happy." We talked about his plans for the new house, his work projects, his life moving forward. It felt good to see him doing well. We'd both survived the worst thing we could imagine, and we were both coming out stronger. I ran into Amanda once at the grocery store. She was alone, looking tired and worn. When she saw me, her face paled. I could have confronted her, said something cutting. Instead, I just looked at her for a moment, then turned and walked away. She wasn't worth my energy. The final divorce decree arrived in the mail on a Tuesday in April. I held the document in my hands, looking at the official seal, the judge's signature. It was real. I was officially divorced. Officially free. I called Nicole immediately. "It's final. I'm divorced. How do you feel?" I thought about it. Relieved. Like I can finally close that chapter completely and start a new one. "We should celebrate." Dinner tonight? Actually, I have plans with Nathan. But tomorrow? Tomorrow works. And Simone? I'm proud of you. You handled all of this with such grace. After hanging up, I sat with the divorce decree for a while. There should have been sadness, I thought. This was the official end of 8 years of my life. But I didn't feel sad. I felt liberated. Nathan took me to a nice restaurant that night. Over dinner, he said, "I heard about the divorce being final. How are you processing it?" "Better than I expected. I thought I'd be more upset, but mostly I just feel free." "That's a good sign. It means you're really ready to move forward." "I think I am." I looked at him across the table. "Nathan, I need to be honest with you. I like you. I like spending time with you. But I'm still figuring out who I am outside of my marriage. I don't want to rush into anything." "I understand. And I'm not going anywhere. We can take this as slow as you need." His patience meant everything. Gerald had always been pushy, always needed immediate answers and decisions. Nathan was different. He gave me space to breathe, to heal, to grow. As spring turned to summer, my life continued to evolve. I took a pottery class and discovered I loved working with my hands, creating something from nothing. I traveled to New York for a work conference and extended my trip for a weekend, seeing Broadway shows and visiting museums alone. I learned to enjoy my own company. My relationship with Nathan deepened slowly, naturally. We weren't rushing toward anything, just enjoying each other's company. He met Nicole, who approved immediately. "He's good for you. He makes you smile." She was right. Nathan did make me smile. But more importantly, I was making myself smile. I was building a life I loved, with or without a man in it. One evening, I was sitting on my back porch watching fireflies in the yard when my phone rang. Gerald's number. I'd unblocked it months ago, figuring enough time had passed that he wouldn't be a problem anymore. I considered not answering, then curiosity got the better of me. "Hello? Simone. It's me." "I know. What do you want, Gerald?" "I wanted to see how you're doing. I heard about your promotion. Congratulations." "Thank you. Is that all?" "No. I wanted to apologize. Really apologize, not just the surface stuff I said before. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was selfish and stupid. I know you've moved on and you should. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry." I was quiet for a moment. "I appreciate the apology, Gerald." "I do. But it doesn't change anything." "I know. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed to say it." "Okay. You've said it. Are you happy?" "I hope you're happy." "I am. Genuinely happy." "Good. You deserve that. Goodbye, Simone." "Goodbye, Gerald." I hung up and sat there for a while. The apology had been sincere, I thought. But it didn't matter. Gerald was my past. Nathan, my career, my friends, my hobbies, my home that was truly mine. That was my present and my future. Nicole came over later that evening, bringing ice cream. We sat on the porch talking and laughing. "You know what I realized?" I said. "I don't think about Gerald anymore. Not really. He's just someone I used to know." "That's huge, Simone. That means you've really healed." "I think I have. I'm not the same person I was when all this started. I'm better. Stronger. You always were strong. You just had to realize it." As I went to bed that night, I felt genuinely content. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I'd survived betrayal, divorce, and heartbreak. And I'd come out the other side not just intact, but thriving. That was something to be proud of. Summer arrived with bright sunshine and temperatures that made me grateful for my backyard pool. I'd had it cleaned and updated, adding new deck furniture in cheerful yellow and blue. Nathan came over most weekends and we'd spend lazy afternoons swimming and talking. "I could get used to this," he said one Saturday, floating on his back in the water. "Me too. This is the first summer I've actually used the pool in years." Gerald was always too busy. His loss. We'd been seeing each other for 3 months now, and while we still weren't officially dating, it was starting to feel like more than friendship. Nathan was patient, never pushing for more than I was ready to give. But I could feel myself wanting more. One evening, as we sat on the deck watching the sunset, Nathan took my hand. "Simone, I need to tell you something." My stomach clenched. "Okay. I know we've been taking this slow and I respect that. But I need you to know that I'm falling for you. I have been for a while now. And if you're not interested in this becoming something more, I need to know so I can protect my own heart." I looked at our joined hands, then at his face. He looked nervous, vulnerable. "I'm falling for you too. I have been. I just kept telling myself it was too soon, that I wasn't ready." "Are you ready now?" "I think so. Or at least, I want to try. Nathan, you've been so good to me. So patient. I don't want to hurt you. Then don't. Just be honest with me and we'll figure it out together. I leaned over and kissed him. It was our first kiss and it felt right. Natural. Like coming home. So we're doing this? I asked when we pulled apart. We're doing this. Being in a relationship with Nathan was completely different from being married to Gerald. Nathan listened when I talked. He asked about my day and actually cared about the answer. He supported my career ambitions instead of seeing them as competition. He made me feel valued for who I was, not who he wanted me to be. We kept things quiet at first, not broadcasting our relationship. But word got around. Nicole was thrilled. Finally. I thought you two would never make it official. Were we that obvious? Girl, you've been lighting up around him for months. I'm just glad you finally admitted it to yourself. At work, Patricia noticed the change in me. You seem happier lately. More relaxed. I am. Life is good right now. I'm glad. You've earned some happiness after everything you went through. Through mutual friends, I heard that Gerald's life was continuing its downward spiral. He'd been passed over for a promotion at work, apparently because his personal drama had affected his professional reputation. He was still living in his small apartment, struggling to adjust to his reduced circumstances. The man who'd once lived in a beautiful house and driven a luxury car was now scraping by. I should have felt satisfaction, but I mostly felt nothing. Gerald was irrelevant to my life now. His struggles weren't my concern. Amanda's life wasn't going much better. According to the neighborhood gossip chain, she'd moved in with her sister after her divorce and was working at a retail store, having never developed her own career during her marriage to Brett. She and Gerald had tried to reconnect briefly, but it hadn't lasted. Apparently, reality couldn't live up to the fantasy they'd built in their affair. Brett and I still met for coffee occasionally. He'd settled into his new house and was dating someone new, a woman named Rachel who worked at his company. She's different from Amanda, he told me. Genuine. Kind. She doesn't play games. I'm happy for you, Brett. You deserve someone good. So do you? This Nathan guy sounds great. He is. It's scary sometimes letting someone in again. But it's good too. I get that. I think that's the hardest part of moving on. Learning to trust again. Trust. It was something I'd thought I'd never be able to do again after Gerald. But Nathan was proving me wrong. He was consistent, reliable, honest. He did what he said he'd do. He kept his promises. Small things maybe, but they mattered. One night, Nathan and I were at his apartment, cooking dinner together. He lived in a modern loft downtown, all exposed brick and high ceilings. As we chopped vegetables side by side, he said, I was thinking about taking a trip to Colorado next month. Hiking in the mountains. Want to come? A trip together? That's a big step. I know. But I think we're ready. Separate rooms if you want. No pressure. Just a chance to get away and spend time together. I thought about it. A trip meant taking our relationship public, making it real in a way that weekend dates didn't. It meant trusting him enough to be away from my safety net of friends and familiar places. Okay. Let's do it. His face lit up. Really? Really? I think it sounds wonderful. The trip to Colorado in August was everything I needed. We hiked mountain trails, watched sunrises from our hotel balcony, talked for hours about everything and nothing. Nathan was attentive without being clingy, giving me space when I needed it but always there when I wanted company. One evening, sitting by a campfire at our lodge, Nathan said, I love you, Simone. I probably shouldn't say it yet, but I do. My heart skipped. I'd known this was coming, felt it building between us. But hearing the words out loud was still overwhelming. I love you too, I said and realized it was true. I did love him. Not the desperate, clinging love I'd felt for Gerald at the end, trying to save something that was already dead. This was different. Calmer. Deeper. Real. We didn't rush things when we got back from Colorado. Nathan understood that I needed to take my time, that I was still healing from what Gerald had done. But our relationship continued to deepen. He met my mother, who approved after initial skepticism. He seems kind, she said. That's important. I met his family at a Sunday dinner. His parents were warm and welcoming, his sister funny and genuine. They accepted me without judgment, never bringing up my divorce unless I mentioned it first. By fall, Nathan and I were spending most nights together, though we still maintained our separate apartments. It felt right, not rushing but not holding back either. Just letting the relationship develop naturally. One October evening, I ran into Gerald at a restaurant. He was alone, sitting at the bar with a drink. When he saw me with Nathan, his face fell. I gave him a polite nod and kept walking. Nathan, to his credit, didn't ask questions until we were seated. That was your ex-husband, wasn't it? Yes. How did you know? The way he looked at you. Like he'd lost something precious. He did. His own fault though. Does it bother you seeing him? No. Not anymore. He's just someone I used to know. Nathan took my hand across the table. I'm glad. You deserve to have moved on completely. As I looked at Nathan, I realized I had moved on. Gerald was truly in my past now. Whatever pain he'd caused, whatever scars he'd left, they didn't control me anymore. I was happy. I was in love. I was building something new and beautiful, and Gerald couldn't touch it. That night, lying in bed next to Nathan in my house, I felt completely at peace. This house, which had once been the site of my greatest betrayal, was now the site of my greatest healing. I'd reclaimed it, reclaimed myself, reclaimed my life. Thank you, I said quietly to Nathan. For what? For being patient. For waiting for me to be ready. For being everything Gerald wasn't. He pulled me closer. You don't have to thank me for that. Loving you is easy, Simone. Easiest thing I've ever done. I fell asleep in his arms, completely content. The girl who'd locked Gerald in that bathroom months ago, devastated and angry, wouldn't recognize the woman I'd become. Stronger, wiser, happier, and finally, completely free. The 1-year anniversary of discovering Gerald's affair came and went without fanfare. I marked it privately, reflecting on how far I'd come. A year ago, I'd been shattered, barely holding myself together. Now I was thriving in ways I'd never imagined. My relationship with Nathan had grown stronger. We decided to officially move in together, choosing his loft since my house carried too many memories. I'd put my house on the market and it sold within 2 weeks for above asking price. Part of me felt sad letting it go, but mostly I felt relieved. It was time for a complete fresh start. Work was going phenomenally. Patricia had announced her retirement, and the board was considering me as a potential replacement. At 33, I'd be one of the youngest directors in the company's history. The possibility was both terrifying and exhilarating. Brett had gotten engaged to Rachel. He called to tell me personally. I wanted you to hear it from me first. I know it might seem fast, but when you know, you know. I'm happy for you, Brett. Really. Rachel is a lucky woman. I'm the lucky one. After everything with Amanda, I never thought I'd trust anyone again. But Rachel changed that. Nathan did the same for me. We both got our happy endings then. Good. As I packed up my house, preparing for the move, I found old photos of Gerald and me. Our wedding day looking so happy and naive. Vacations we'd taken, smiling at the camera without any hint of the disaster to come. I almost threw them out, then decided to pack them instead. Not because I wanted to dwell on the past, but because they were part of my history. Denying they existed wouldn't change anything. The day before I was scheduled to move, Gerald showed up at the house. I was in the garage sorting through boxes when I heard a car pull up. Through the window I saw him getting out. I considered not answering the door, but curiosity got the better of me. What could he possibly want now? I opened the door before he could knock. Gerald, what are you doing here? He looked worse than the last time I'd seen him. Thinner, older, worn down. I heard you sold the house. I wanted to see it one more time. That's not a good idea. Please, Simone. Just 5 minutes. Then I'll leave you alone forever. Against my better judgment, I let him in. We stood in the empty living room, our footsteps echoing on the hardwood floors. I have so many memories in this house, Gerald said quietly. We were happy here once. Were we? Or was I just ignorant of what you were doing? He flinched. We were happy. At least I was. I don't expect you to believe that. I don't. Gerald, what do you want? Why are you really here? He turned to face me. I heard you're moving in with someone. Nathan Price. I looked him up. You have no right to look up anyone in my life. I know. I'm sorry. I just needed to know if you were happy. I'm happy. Extremely happy. Nathan is everything you never were. I know. I can see it in you. You look different. Better. He paused. I came here to ask if there's any chance, any possibility that we could try again. Start over. I stared at him in disbelief. Are you serious? After everything, you think there's a chance? I've changed, Simone. I've been in therapy. I understand what I did wrong. I could be different now. No, Gerald. You couldn't. And even if you could, I don't want you to. I don't want you at all. I've moved on. I'm in love with someone else. You need to accept that and move on too. I can't. You were everything to me. No, I wasn't. If I was everything, you wouldn't have cheated. You wouldn't have lied. You wouldn't have destroyed what we had. You did that, not me. Nathan's car pulled into the driveway. He'd said he'd come by to help me finish packing. When he saw Gerald's car, his expression hardened. He got out and walked over. "Is everything okay here?" Nathan asked, positioning himself slightly in front of me. "Everything's fine," I said. "Gerald was just leaving." Gerald looked between us and I saw the moment he finally accepted reality. His shoulders slumped. "I'm sorry for everything, Simone. I hope you know that." "I do. But it doesn't change anything. Goodbye, Gerald." He walked to his car without another word. I watched him drive away and I felt nothing but relief. Nathan put his arm around me. "Are you all right?" "I'm perfect." He wanted another chance. "What did you tell him?" I told him the truth. That I'm in love with you and I've moved on completely. He needed to hear it. Nathan kissed the top of my head. "Good. Because I'm not letting you go." We finished packing the house together. The next day, movers came and transported everything to Nathan's loft. Our loft now. As I arranged my things next to his, mixing our lives together, I felt a sense of rightness I'd never felt with Gerald. That evening, we christened our new living situation with takeout and champagne on the balcony. "To new beginnings," Nathan said, raising his glass. "To new beginnings," I echoed. As I looked out over the city lights, Nathan's arm around me, I thought about how different my life looked now compared to a year ago. I'd lost a marriage, but I'd gained myself. I'd lost a husband, but I'd found real love. I'd been broken, but I'd rebuilt myself stronger. Nicole came over the next day to see the place. She wandered through the loft, approving of how we'd arranged everything. "You seem really happy," she observed. "I am. Happier than I've been in years. Maybe happier than I've ever been. That's what you deserve. After everything Gerald put you through, you deserve all the happiness in the world." As she left, I realized something. I'd stopped thinking of myself as Gerald's ex-wife. I wasn't defined by his betrayal anymore. I was just Simone Carter, senior director at Peterson Industries, girlfriend to Nathan Price, friend to Nicole and Brett and so many others. A complete person in my own right. That night, Nathan and I were cooking dinner together when he said, "I've been thinking about the future." Our future. What about it? I know we've only been together officially for a few months. But I'm 35, you're 33. We're not kids. And I know what I want. My heart started beating faster. "What do you want?" "You. A life with you. Eventually, marriage, maybe kids if you want them." "I'm not proposing now," he added quickly. "It's too soon. But I wanted you to know that's where I see this heading. If that's where you see it heading too." I thought about Gerald's proposal years ago. It had been romantic, public, with all our friends watching. But looking back, I wondered if I'd really chosen it or just gotten swept up in the moment. This felt different. Nathan wasn't pressuring me or making a grand gesture. He was just being honest about his intentions, giving me space to decide if they aligned with mine. "I see it heading there too," I said. "Not now, but eventually. When we're both ready." He pulled me into a hug. That's all I needed to hear. As we ate dinner, talking about potential futures, possible plans, dreams we both had, I felt completely at peace. This was what love should feel like. Safe, warm, honest. Not the desperate, anxious feeling I'd had with Gerald toward the end, always wondering if he was telling the truth, always second-guessing myself. The final decree from my divorce had come months ago, but this felt like the real ending. The moment when I truly closed the door on that chapter of my life and fully committed to the next one. Gerald was gone. The pain was gone. All that remained was possibility. 14 months after discovering Gerald's betrayal, I was running late for a meeting. I grabbed a coffee from the shop near my office, rushing through the door while checking my phone. I nearly collided with someone coming out. "Sorry, I looked up and froze. Brett was standing there holding his own coffee. "Simone. Well, how are you?" "I'm good. Great, actually. How are you?" "Congratulations on the engagement." "Thanks. Rachel and I are getting married in 2 months. Small ceremony, just close friends and family." We stepped aside to let other customers pass, standing on the sidewalk in the autumn sunshine. "You look really happy," Brett observed. "I am. Life has been good. Work is going well. Nathan and I moved in together. Everything just feels right." "Nathan. That's the guy you're with now." "Yeah. He's wonderful. Completely different from Gerald in every way that matters." Brett smiled. "Rachel is the same for me. Different from Amanda in all the right ways. Isn't it funny how something so terrible led us both to something so good?" Funny isn't the word I'd use. But yeah, I guess there's some truth to that. We both got out of bad situations and found better ones. "Have you heard anything about Gerald or Amanda lately?" I shook my head. No, and I don't want to. That part of my life is over. I don't need updates on what they're doing. Fair enough. I'm the same way with Amanda. Rachel knows about the affair, about everything that happened, but we don't talk about it much. It's just not relevant anymore. We chatted for a few more minutes about our lives, our jobs, our plans. Then Brett said, "I'm glad I ran into you. I've wanted to say thank you for a long time." Thank me? For what? For that day. For calling me, for making sure I saw the truth. If you hadn't done that, I'd probably still be with Amanda, still being lied to, still unhappy without knowing why. You gave me the truth even though it hurt. That took guts. I'd never thought about it that way. I just did what I thought was right. You deserved to know. You did more than what was right. You could have just kicked Gerald out and left me in the dark. But you didn't. You made sure I knew, even though it wasn't your responsibility. I'll always appreciate that. We both survived it, Brett. That's what matters. More than survived. We both came out better. Stronger. After we said goodbye, I went to my meeting, but Brett's words stayed with me. We had both come out stronger. The betrayal that could have destroyed us had instead pushed us to rebuild ourselves better than before. That evening, I told Nathan about running into Brett. "It's nice that you two stayed friendly," Nathan said. "Not everyone could maintain that after what you went through together. We have a unique bond. We were both betrayed by people we trusted. But we both found our way out." Nathan pulled me close. "I'm glad you found your way to me." Me too. As fall progressed toward winter, my life continued its upward trajectory. Patricia's retirement was official, and I was named as her replacement, becoming director of marketing at Peterson Industries. The promotion came with a substantial raise, a corner office, and the respect of colleagues who'd watched me handle my personal crisis with grace while still excelling at my job. My first day in the new role, I sat at my desk and looked around at the space that was now mine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Modern furniture in bright blue and red. My name on the door. I'd earned this. Not through my marriage or anyone else's help, but through my own hard work and dedication. Nicole took me out to celebrate. "You did it, Simone. You're officially a big deal." "I don't know about big deal, but I'm proud of myself." "You should be. 2 years ago, you were picking up pieces of your shattered life. Now look at you." She was right. If someone had told me during those dark days after discovering Gerald's affair that I'd end up here, happy and successful and in love, I wouldn't have believed them. But here I was. Through the professional grapevine, I heard that Gerald had left his company. Apparently, the scandal of his affair and messy divorce had damaged his reputation too much. He'd moved to another city, starting over somewhere new. I felt a distant pity for him, but nothing more. His struggles weren't my concern anymore. Amanda, I heard through old neighborhood friends, was still living with her sister and working retail. She'd dated a few people, but nothing serious. The woman who destroyed her marriage for an affair had learned that affairs don't translate to lasting relationships. I should have felt satisfaction at their struggles, but I didn't. They were irrelevant to me now. Whether they succeeded or failed, rebuilt or stayed broken, none of it affected my life anymore. What did affect my life was the joy I felt every morning waking up next to Nathan. The pride I felt walking into my office as director. The deep friendships I'd maintained and strengthened. The relationship with my mother, which had improved once she'd seen how truly happy I was now. "I was wrong," my mother admitted during Sunday dinner at her house. "I thought you should forgive Gerald, try to save the marriage. But seeing you now, I understand. You made the right choice." "Thanks, Mama. That means a lot. Nathan is a good man. Much better than Gerald ever was, even when Gerald was on his best behavior." Nathan, who was helping my father with something in the garage, had won my mother over completely. He was respectful, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in family. Everything Gerald had pretended to be but never truly was. As Christmas approached, Nathan surprised me with a weekend trip to a cabin in the mountains. We spent 2 days snowed in, cooking together, reading by the fire, talking about everything and nothing. On Christmas Eve, sitting by the fire with hot chocolate, Nathan said, "This past year with you has been the best of my life." "Mine too. I never thought I'd be this happy again after everything that happened." "Do you think about it? The affair, the divorce, all of it?" "Sometimes. But not with pain anymore. More like remembering a storm that passed. It was terrible while it was happening, but it's over now. And somehow, the sky seems brighter after a storm." Nathan kissed me softly. "I love the way you see things. You take terrible situations and find meaning in them." I had to. Otherwise, Gerald would have destroyed me. I refused to let him have that power. As we sat there, snow falling outside the window, fire crackling in the fireplace, I felt completely content. This was everything I'd thought I had with Gerald but never did. Real intimacy. True partnership. Honest love. My phone buzzed with a text from Nicole. "Merry Christmas Eve. Love you." I texted back, "Love you too. Thanks for everything." For what? For being there through the worst time of my life. For never judging. For helping me get through it. That's what friends do. Plus, look at you now. You didn't just get through it. You triumphed. Triumph. It was a strong word, but maybe it was accurate. I'd taken the worst betrayal of my life and turned it into an opportunity for growth. I'd lost a cheating husband and gained myself. That felt like triumph. As I put my phone away and settled back into Nathan's arms, I thought about the year ahead. There would be challenges at work with my new role. Nathan and I would face obstacles as any couple does. Life wouldn't be perfect. But I was ready for it. I'd proven to myself that I could handle anything. Betrayal, divorce, rebuilding my entire life from scratch. If I could survive all that and come out stronger, I could handle whatever came next. "What are you thinking about?" Nathan asked. "The future. And how I'm not afraid of it anymore." "Good. Because our future is going to be amazing." I believed him. And more importantly, I believed in myself. That was the real gift Gerald's betrayal had given me. Not the pain, not the anger, but the eventual realization that I was stronger than I'd ever known. That I could stand alone even if I preferred to stand with someone. That my worth wasn't determined by someone else's treatment of me, but by how I chose to treat myself. Gerald had tried to break me. Instead, he'd rebuilt me into someone better. Someone who knew her own strength. Someone who wouldn't settle for less than she deserved ever again. That was the real victory. Not revenge, not Gerald's suffering, but my own transformation. I was Simone Carter, director of marketing, girlfriend to an amazing man, friend to wonderful people, and most importantly, a woman who knew her own worth. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. 2 years after discovering Gerald's betrayal, I stood in front of a mirror in my bedroom, smoothing down my red dress. Not a wedding dress, but a beautiful cocktail dress for an important evening. Tonight was the company gala, and as director of marketing, I'd be giving a speech about our achievements over the past year. Nathan came up behind me, fastening his watch. "You look beautiful." "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself." He was wearing a sharp navy suit that made his eyes look even more striking. We'd been living together for over a year now, and the relationship had only gotten stronger. There was talk of engagement, but we weren't rushing. We both knew we'd get there when the time was right. My phone buzzed with a text from Nicole. "Break a leg tonight. You're going to kill that speech." I smiled. Nicole had been promoted too, becoming a full attorney at her firm. We'd both risen in our careers, proving that personal tragedy didn't have to derail professional success. The gala was held at the city's most prestigious hotel. As Nathan and I entered the ballroom, decorated with white flowers and twinkling lights, I felt a surge of pride. I'd helped plan this event. My team had worked tirelessly to make it perfect. Patricia, now retired but still attending company events, found me immediately. "Simone, darling. You look radiant." "Thanks to you. You taught me everything I know." "I taught you skills. You brought the heart and determination. That's all you." As we mingled, I ran into coworkers, clients, industry contacts. Everyone congratulated me on the department's success. The Randolph campaign had won 3 industry awards. Our digital strategy had become a case study taught in marketing classes. Under my leadership, the department had thrived. When it was time for speeches, I took the stage confidently. 2 years ago, I'd been a woman who could barely get out of bed some mornings. Now, I was speaking in front of 200 people without a hint of nervousness. "Good evening, everyone. As Director of Marketing, it's my pleasure to share what we've accomplished this year and where we're headed next." I spoke for 10 minutes about our successes, our challenges, our goals. The audience was engaged, nodding, some taking notes. When I finished, the applause was genuine and enthusiastic. Nathan was waiting for me as I stepped off the stage. "You were amazing." I meant every word. "We have a great team." As the evening continued, I felt genuinely happy. Not the frantic, desperate happiness I'd sometimes felt with Gerald, trying to convince myself everything was fine. Real, deep, contented happiness. Later in the evening, I excused myself to use the restroom. When I came out, I nearly bumped into someone. I looked up to apologize and found myself face to face with Amanda. She'd clearly lost weight, not in a healthy way. Her clothes were nice but not expensive. Her makeup was carefully applied, but it couldn't hide the exhaustion in her eyes. Simone, she said quietly. Amanda. I kept my voice neutral. I heard you were doing well. Director now. Congratulations. Thank you. There was an awkward pause. Then Amanda said, I know you don't want to hear this, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. For everything. For what I did to you, to Brett, to both of your marriages. It was wrong and I've regretted it every day since. I studied her for a moment. The apology seemed genuine. But it didn't change anything. I appreciate the apology, I said finally. But it doesn't matter anymore. What you did pushed me to rebuild my life, and I'm better off now than I ever was with Gerald. So in a strange way, I should thank you. Amanda looked pained. I heard you're with someone new. That you're happy. I am. Very happy. Good. You deserve that. I know you probably don't believe me, but I do mean that. I nodded. I hope you find happiness too, Amanda. Real happiness, not the kind built on someone else's destruction. She blinked back tears. Thank you for saying that. I don't deserve your kindness. Maybe not. But I'm not saying it for you. I'm saying it because holding on to anger and bitterness would only hurt me. I've moved on completely. You should too. I walked past her back to the ballroom. Nathan looked up as I approached, concern on his face. Everything okay? You were gone a while. I ran into Amanda. Your ex-husband's affair partner? Here? She works for one of our client companies apparently. It's fine. She apologized, I accepted it, and that chapter is truly closed now. Nathan pulled me onto the dance floor. As we swayed to the music, he said, You handled that with grace. I'm proud of you. I handled it with indifference. She's not important enough to hate anymore. The rest of the evening was perfect. Dancing with Nathan, laughing with colleagues, celebrating our successes. This was my life now. Full, rich, meaningful. As we drove home, Nathan said, I've been thinking about something. What's that? About us. About our future. He glanced at me. I'm ready to make this permanent, Simone. Whenever you are. My heart skipped. Are you asking what I think you're asking? Not officially. Not yet. But soon. I want you to know it's coming so you can think about whether you're ready. I'm ready, I said softly. I've been ready for a while now. I trust you, Nathan. Completely. I trust us. He squeezed my hand. Then expect a proper proposal soon. Something worthy of you. That night, lying in bed, I thought about how far I'd come. 2 years ago, I'd been standing in my hallway, listening to my husband betray me. Now, I was lying next to a man who cherished me, planning a future built on honesty and genuine love. My phone buzzed. A text from Brett. Hey, just wanted to let you know Rachel and I are expecting. Baby girl due in 6 months. I smiled and texted back congratulations. Brett had found his happy ending too. We'd both survived the worst and built something better. Over the next few months, life continued its upward trend. Work was challenging but rewarding. My relationship with Nathan deepened. I reconnected with some old friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage to Gerald. My social circle expanded, filled with people who genuinely cared about me. In April, exactly 2 years after my divorce was finalized, Nathan took me to the botanical gardens. We walked through spring flowers, talking and laughing. He led me to a quiet gazebo surrounded by blooming cherry trees. Simone, he said, taking both my hands, these past 2 years have been the happiest of my life. You're strong, compassionate, brilliant, and beautiful. You make me want to be a better person every single day. He got down on one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. I know you've been married before. I know it didn't end well. But I'm not Gerald. I will never be Gerald. I will spend every day of our marriage showing you what real love looks like. Will you marry me? I looked at the ring, simple and elegant, perfect for me. Then I looked at Nathan, this man who'd been so patient, so understanding, so genuinely good. Yes, I said, pulling him up to kiss him. Yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring onto my finger and we stood there for a long moment just holding each other. I promise you, Nathan said. You'll never regret this. I know. I trust you. Completely. As we walked back through the gardens, my hand in his, I felt overwhelming gratitude. Not for the betrayal itself, but for what it had forced me to become. Stronger. Wiser. More certain of my own worth. Gerald had tried to destroy me, but he'd failed. Instead, he'd freed me to become the person I was always meant to be. Someone who knew her value. Someone who wouldn't settle for less than she deserved. Someone who could build a life based on genuine love and mutual respect. That evening, I called Nicole to tell her the news. I'm engaged, I said, unable to keep the joy from my voice. Finally. I've been waiting for Nathan to propose for months now. Were we that obvious? Girl, you've been looking at each other like lovesick teenagers since the beginning. I'm just glad he made it official. We talked about wedding plans, potential dates, all the excitement of a new engagement. When we hung up, I sat on the balcony of our loft, watching the city lights twinkle below. My mother called next. Nathan just called to ask for my blessing. I gave it, of course. He's a wonderful man, Simone. I'm so happy for you. Thanks, Mama. I'm happy too. You've come so far from where you were 2 years ago. I'm proud of you for rebuilding your life. I'm proud of me too. And I was. Not in an arrogant way, but in a deep, genuine appreciation for my own strength. I'd been through hell and come out the other side not just intact but better than before. 3 months later, I ran into Gerald one final time. I was in a coffee shop on a Saturday morning, waiting for my order when he walked in. He saw me immediately. Simone. He looked shocked. You look great. Thank you. I noticed the ring on my finger catching the light. His eyes went to it too. You're engaged. I am. Nathan proposed a few months ago. Something flickered across Gerald's face. Pain maybe, or regret. I'm happy for you. Really? How are you doing, Gerald? I'm okay. Rebuilding. Different city, different job, starting over. It's hard, but I'm managing. I'm glad. I hope you find what you're looking for. What I'm looking for is what I had with you. But I destroyed that. Yes, you did. But we both moved on. That's life. My coffee order was called. I picked it up and turned to leave. Gerald touched my arm lightly. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. And I really am happy you found someone who treats you better than I did. Thank you for saying that. Take care of yourself, Gerald. I walked out into the sunshine and I didn't look back. That chapter was closed. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to feel. Gerald was just someone from my past, no longer relevant to my present or future. Nathan was waiting at home when I got back. You're smiling. Good coffee? The coffee is fine. But I'm smiling because I just had the most freeing experience of my life. I told him about running into Gerald, about the conversation, about how I'd felt absolutely nothing but mild sympathy. That's it then, Nathan said. You're completely free of him. I really am. He's just a person I used to know. Someone who taught me what I don't want in a relationship so I could recognize what I do want when I found it. Our wedding was scheduled for October, during the most beautiful time of year. We decided on a small ceremony, just close friends and family. Nothing extravagant or showy, just genuine and meaningful. Nicole was my maid of honor. Brett, surprisingly, accepted our invitation and came with Rachel and their baby daughter. My mother cried happy tears. Nathan's family embraced me completely. Standing at the altar in a simple maroon dress, looking into Nathan's eyes as we said our vows, I felt completely certain. This was right. This was real. This was what love was supposed to be. I promise to honor you, respect you, and choose you every single day, Nathan said. I promise to be worthy of your trust and to never take your love for granted. When it was my turn, I said, I promise to build a life with you based on honesty and genuine partnership. I promise to be your equal, your supporter, and your best friend. And I promise that what we have will always be worth protecting. We exchanged simple gold bands, and when the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, the kiss was perfect. Sweet, genuine, full of promise. At the reception, Nicole raised her glass for a toast. To Simone and Nathan. May your marriage be everything you both deserve. Later, dancing with Nathan, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. The pain, the betrayal, the rebuilding. All of it had been necessary to get me to this moment. To this man. To this life. What are you thinking about? Nathan asked. How grateful I am. For everything. Even the hard parts. The hard parts made you who you are. They did. And I like who I am now. I love who you are now. And I love that I get to spend the rest of my life with you. As the evening wound down, I found myself sitting with Brett and Rachel, talking about their daughter and their life. You and Nathan seem really happy, Rachel observed. We are. He's nothing like Gerald. He's genuine and honest and treats me like an equal partner. Brett nodded. That's what Rachel and I have too. After Amanda, I never thought I'd trust anyone again. But Rachel proved me wrong. We're the lucky ones, I said. We got betrayed, but we came out stronger. We found real love. As Nathan and I left for our honeymoon, driving away from the reception with "Just Married" written on the car windows, I looked back one last time at the celebration. At the friends who'd supported me. At the life I'd built from the ashes of my first marriage. Then I turned forward, toward the future, toward everything that was coming. No more looking back. No more dwelling on what Gerald had done or who he'd been. That story was over. This was a new story. One where I was the hero, not the victim. One where love was real and lasting. One where I knew my own worth and wouldn't accept anything less than I deserved. As we drove into the sunset, Nathan's hand in mine, I felt completely, genuinely happy. The revenge I'd sought hadn't been in making Gerald suffer. It had been in building a life so good, so fulfilling, so genuinely joyful that what he'd done became irrelevant. I'd won. Not because Gerald lost, but because I'd gained everything that truly mattered. Love, respect, trust, happiness, and most importantly, myself. That was the real happy ending. Not revenge, but redemption. Not bitterness, but better. Not broken, but rebuilt into something stronger and more beautiful than before. And as we began our honeymoon, our life together, our future, I knew with absolute certainty that this was just the beginning of something wonderful. The best was yet to come.